So how to renew your permanent residency? So people assume once you got permanent residency approved, then you no longer need to worry about that. This is wrong, because Australian permanent residence visa need renewal. Once you got permanent residency approval, if you're in Australia and you don't want to travel out of Australia, you don't need to worry about. As long as, however, you will need to travel after 5 years of PR approval, then you need to consider renewing your application. Now, for renewing your permanent residency, make sure you have this following information. First, Australian permanent visa require you to activate your visa within 12 months of a visa approval. So if you are at the time of your receiving your permanent residency, if you're in Australia already, then you already activated. So you don't need to worry about the activation. But at the time of visa approval, you are overseas, okay, outside Australia. So you must enter Australia within 12 months. Now, some people forgot to activate visa within 12 months. They ask me what I'm going to do. Now, you have to prepare when you come to border. Although, if you have a valid visa application, you still enter Australia. However, if you forgot to activate within 12 months, you need to prepare to answer the question. And they may invite you to a room, and ask you a question. You must prepare to answer questions. So the questions cannot be something like, am I, a COVID, right? It's kind of COVID. You cannot use this excuse. This is funny enough. That's a long time ago. So you need to prepare something like compelling, make your outside Australia and you're not able to travel in. And maybe, you have been looking for jobs and now you just secure a new job. Maybe it's that you had to look after your ill family members. That's some reasons you can. It has to be something with a compelling reason. You might be questioned, you might not, but sometimes, mostly if you are traveling, enter Australia first time after permanent visa approval beyond the 12-month period, then you must prepare to answer the question. You must prepare to, some documents to present it to a border officer. Now, once you activate this, you're clean now, right? You don't need to worry about that next one too. Because when you renew your permanent residency, the length of renewal depending on how long you have been in Australia. If you've been in Australia 2 out of 5 years after your permanent visa approval, not after the date you arrive in Australia. Okay, so some people say, I stay here for 2 years. It has to be after the date you receive the visa approval. Because the permanent visa, the travel facility, it's only valid for 5 years. And the 5 years calculate from the time that you receive a visa approval until 5 years later, right? So it's 5 years. You must make sure that's within, if you stay in Australia at less than 2 years, so which is less than 2 years out of 5 years, you need to compare providing two types of information. One, the reason you left Australia, why you left Australia, and the reason why you're returning. Okay, the returning factor can be things like Australia ties. What's considered Australia ties? It can be including the following, like culture ties. You are members of church. It can be a sport club. You members of sport club. Culture ties, family ties. You have family members, close related to family members, relatives, siblings, parents, brothers, sisters, like that. So family, and then employment, jobs, things like, I left because I've got job assignment overseas. Now I come back because I have another job overseas, in Australia that I want me to come back. Another one is business, right? You have a registered company, then you have operations, you have an employee, maybe one. You have some sales paying to your Australia bank account, company bank account, which is the Australia company's bank account. So that's considered a business ties. Now, the longer you're absent, the stronger evidence is to provide. If you only, you've been here like 1 year and 1.5 years, then you just need some type of Australia ties. But if you're in Australia, like you mostly spend your time overseas, you then spend 2 months in Australia, 5 years since visa approval, then you must provide very strong. Now, some people ask me this question. My permanent residency has expired like a few years ago. Do I still have a chance to get it back? Yes, you do still have a chance. Do not, if you have a permanent visa approval sometime a year ago, do not apply a tourist visa, come back and apply before you figure out anything. Don't do it straight away. Some of them forgot about that, did not apply, and came back on tourist visa multiple times. Now your intention, you cannot say, and then you stay here for 1 or 2 days, 1 or 2 weeks, then your intention changed. So even your permanent visa expired quite a few years ago, because now it's much harder to get permanent visa, new permanent visa approval, right? So at the time, you know, you need to apply returning resident visa. And every time, even for instance, you said to, you know, department say, I tried 1 year ago but failed. Does it mean that you can't try again? No, you still can try, but provided you have something new element to your now returning resident visa. It's really important that we have to have that. But now, since we have that introduction, we want to make sure that the hardest case I did in the past was really someone who left Australia more than 10 years. Now, a decade, 10 years benchmark, that's I want to really focus that. If you left Australia more than 10 years, do not just provide, you know, do not just DIY it, fill out form and wait. Hopefully, they're going to approve you. They're not going to approve you. So you have to provide really strong case to back up you, to mention that 2 elements I just discussed. One, the reason you left Australia, and the reason you stay so long, and the reason you are returning back to Australia. So this is really important. I want everybody to really thinking about applying returning resident visa before you considering other visas like tourist visa. Okay, provided of course you got permanent visa a few years ago.